On a morning like this, one would say, thank God it's Friday. Welcome to TVC Breakfast. I am Mike Okwoche, and I have my co-hosts with me in the studio. Omatseye is here, as well as Kemi Fola Adeyemo. It's great morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Good Friday, must
Thank
say.
God it's Friday.
Well, when it is your Good Friday, it means something else.
Oh, okay.
But this Friday is good.
Is it good?
It's good.
Okay,
So-
the Friday is good.
Yes.
Not
thank
Good
God
Friday,
it's Friday.
in that context.
It has ecclesiastical
Exactly. Exactly.
reverberations.
It has become a religious cliche. It's one of
Yes.
those things.
Yes.
Now, yesterday, the news got to town that the Security Council of the Nigerian government's looking at the possibility of banning commercial motorcycles nationwide, as well as banning mining
Right.
as a way of curbing terrorism as a whole. And this morning we are getting reactions from that. If there has to be a blanket ban on commercial motorcycle, if Okadas are used or machines are used, to perpetrate terrorism in parts of the country, how about the other parts where it is used to at least empower a few people and then they get earn their living from there?
I think it's time to have that conversation. It's well overdue, though in the states now that have done their own orders along that line of banning, commercial motorcycles and the like, that has also come with a lot of strong opposition from not just the tricycle operators, but even ordinary Nigerians who say this is, motorcycle, who say now this is the only hope they have for the incessant queues and, hold-ups during traffic. But of course, this is a matter of security, and we know that when national security comes to play, every other thing becomes secondary. Where national security comes to play, it is paramount above every other concern. But yes, it is time to have this conversation and maybe bring forth the need for stricter regulation of those who operate this across board. So if you send them out in a state, they won't go to another state and then flood and even become more of a menace.
Yeah, there are a number of arguments pertaining to this. One is whether do we want to prioritize security over the fear of poverty. Another one is whether we are afraid of spillover effect. And the other argument is whether it is the way of the future. Let me start from the argument that it's the way of the future. It is not the way of the future. If we are going to run a modern state, we are going to run a futuristic system, an optimistic system, we cannot have Okadas. And that was the argument made in Lagos. I mean, many people had talked about it in Lagos a number of times, and people have argued that it was actually an anti-people policy until it blew on our faces. When it blew on our faces, many people had nothing to say, and little to say in terms of protest against it, because they saw that this thing is really a menace, and that there are alternatives. And now we've seen Korokwe, the little buses in Lagos, they're all over the place now, replacing them. And we have to try to live with that reality, that this is not the way to go. Two, spillover effect. If you say you're going to ban it in certain places, because some people may say that, let it be a state-by-state thing. It could be, but there are spillover effects. If it's going, they could make a decision to move to places where they feel that they can have safe haven. And that is not helping matters. It's like what they say in local parlance. Say when you want to patch a cloth, when the cloth has become so threadbare, as you patch one part of it, the other side is getting torn. So that's the fear. That one is a real no-no. So we have to understand that whether we are trying to prioritize fear of poverty over security, we know that we have to be secure first before we can eat. And we can see now that even as this terrorism fight has escalated, people cannot go to the farms. Foodstuff have now become expensive because even the farmers have to pay their own form of levies to the bandits to go to the farm and back. So the spin-off effect of this thing is quite limitless. So we have to make a policy and make a drastic policy that, okay, we don't want Okada here. Modern states in the world don't have it. What are we doing with Okada? Let us think of alternatives and let us do it fast.
Well, so it's the future indeed.
Exactly. Talking about the future, the point there is actually the government has to map out, if the government wants to be futuristic, the way you have put it, there has to be a development plan. There has to be an intentional strategy in that regard. Because if you're talking about banning commercial motorcycles now, how about the next 2 years? How about the next 3 years? How about the next government? How, you know, and so on. So if there's an agenda, there has to be a consistent, maybe a 10-year agenda or a 20-year agenda where if you're taking people off the commercial motorcycle business, you're channeling them into somewhere or creating a platform where they're useful somewhere else, you know, as an alternative, as the case may be.
You also raised a crucial point, because even when we get to that point, assuming all states are on all fours with this agenda, national agenda, saying that this is now a national problem, there has to be, you know, a robust structure on ground. How many police officers do we have? How many Nigerians do we equate with one police officer? Do we have the capacity to send out all our officers across the entire length and breadth of Nigeria to enforce a policy as this? If we don't, then what do we do to make sure that the system is saturated with all the people that will help in the enforcement? And like you said also, what will the people do? What jobs do we have on ground to make sure that this is not an option as attractive anymore to even graduates? We see graduates who take upon this venture as the only means they have to survive.
And the concern there too is that the issue of commercial motorcycle or commercial motorcycling is not on the exclusive list. So if the federal government is coming up with that policy, you need to have a buy-in of the state governments. It
may not be on the exclusively. It's a security matter.
Absolutely.
Security matter is on the...
Yes.
But some of our governors may want to be politically correct as against doing what is needed.
That's what I'm saying.
That may also be...
If it's a major problem, if it's a major problem in the whole country and the decision is taken from the center, you don't blame the government state government for it. You blame the center for it. The center takes the can.
Yeah, one would say
but it's time for a bold decision. Lagos did take the bold decision for
of course.
Those most crucial arteries.
Of course.
And it is working.
There are some problems. Not at the first trial. I think in Lagos State now there were experiments. Of course, the government had said its stance. This is what we want to do. But, you know, along the line, there were a bit of, well, I say hesitancy on the part of the government. But now this latest one that we are seeing now, there does seem to be some form of seriousness. And even before you see a bike man now on those areas, you have to now, like, walk further down into the street before you see them.
Yeah, because the team blew up in our faces.
And then there was more acceptance.
You see what happened? See, I've been telling you.
All right. Besides all that, when it comes to this thing, there are always political interests.
Absolutely.
You know, they buy commercial motorcycles for some people as constituency empowerment programs.
You think of other things.
There's always new things to empower people.